There is a certain kind of conversation that happens in offices every single day, and almost no one recognizes it for what it is. You walk into your manager's office, you've prepared. You ask for the raise or the promotion or just a straight answer about where you stand. And your manager smiles. They tell you how valued you are. They say good things are coming. They use warm words, calm words, words that sound like a yes. You walk out feeling lighter. And then nothing happens. Weeks pass, then months. The raise never arrives. The promotion stays in progress. And slowly, you start to wonder if the problem is you. Maybe you didn't make a strong enough case. Maybe you should be patient. Maybe you're being difficult. But here's the truth. Your manager was never being vague. What felt like a warm, open conversation was something else entirely. It was a script, a set of practiced, predictable lines designed to move you out of the room without committing to anything. And once you can hear that script, once you know exactly what each line is doing, you stop being the person it works on. Today we're going to decode why your boss never gives you a straight answer, what every one of those polite non-answers actually means, and the small shift that turns a vague conversation into a real commitment. First, we have to understand something uncomfortable. Most managers are not trying to lie to you. The vagueness isn't personal, it's structural. Think about the position your manager sits in. They're between you and a budget they don't fully control. Above them is a finance team, a compensation band with a hard ceiling, and a calibration meeting where raises get decided by a room of people you will never see. Your manager often cannot say yes in the moment, even when they want to. So they learn to do the next best thing. They learn to keep you happy without committing. And there's a second reason, one that has nothing to do with money. Every specific promise a manager makes becomes a precedent. Say yes to you, and the next person who walks in expects the same. Vagueness scales, commitment doesn't. So they're trained, quietly, to give as little as possible to as many people as possible, and to make it feel generous. A vague answer can't be held against them later. A specific one can. And it works, because most people accept warmth as if it were an agreement. This is where it gets specific. Because the vagueness isn't random. It comes in a handful of recognizable forms. Once you've seen them, you'll never unsee them. The first one sounds like care. You're doing great. Let's focus on your development. On the surface, it's a compliment. Underneath, it's a redirection. You came in to talk about money or advancement, and in one sentence, the conversation has been steered towards something soft. Something with no number and no date attached. Development, growth, potential. All of it sounds positive. None of it costs them anything. And you leave feeling encouraged, having gained nothing you can measure. The second one sounds like honesty. The budget is tight right now. This one is powerful because it's often partly true, and truth is the best cover. But notice what it does. It ends the conversation without ending the relationship. It is not a no you could actually respond to. It's a fog. And most people, the moment they hear the word budget, apologize and back away. They treat a timing issue as if it were a final verdict. The manager hasn't said no. They've simply arranged it so you say it to yourself and thank them on the way out. The third one sounds reasonable. Let's revisit this in 6 months. Of all the lines, this is the quietest killer. Because it feels like a win. You got a time frame. Patience rewarded. But look closely. There's no commitment attached to that 6 months. No milestone. No defined outcome. Just a date floating with nothing behind it. And in 6 months, you'll walk back in, and a fresh version of the same script will be sitting there waiting for you. And the fourth one sounds like love. We value you here. We really want to keep you. This is the most expensive sentence you will ever hear in your career, because it offers you a feeling in place of a fact. It substitutes appreciation for compensation. And it works on the best people, the loyal ones, the ones who don't want to seem ungrateful. You hear that you're valued, and it feels almost rude to ask, Valued at what exactly? So you don't. And the conversation ends with you quietly thanking them for keeping your own money. Now here's what almost no one calculates: the cost of accepting these answers. Because each individual deflection feels small. It's only 6 more months. It's only one tight budget year. What's the harm in waiting? The harm is enormous, and it compounds. Picture 2 people hired on the same day, doing identical work. One accepts the vague answers, one doesn't. The one who pins down a number gets a raise this year, and every future raise, every bonus, every outside offer is then calculated as a percentage of that higher base. The one who waited politely starts from a lower number, forever. 5 years on, they are not slightly behind. They are tens of thousands behind, and the gap is still widening every single year. And it isn't only money. Something quieter happens too. The person who keeps accepting non-answers teaches the room how to treat them. They become the safe one, the one you can defer, the one who won't push. And in most organizations, the people who get the title and the pay are not the hardest workers. They are the ones who were clear about what they expected and made it slightly uncomfortable to say no. The quiet, patient, excellent employee is the easiest person in the building to overlook, not because they aren't valued, because they made themselves easy to delay. So what do? You can't rewrite the budget cycle. You can't sit in the calibration meeting. You can change one thing: the way you respond, in the room, in the moment. The shift is this: stop hearing these lines as decisions and start hearing them as openings. A vague answer is not a no. It's a yes that hasn't been pinned down yet. And your entire job in that moment is to convert the fog into something concrete: a number, a date, or a specific condition. Calmly, without aggression, without turning it into a fight. Hold on to 3 things. First, not every vague answer is a rejection. Most of the time, it's avoidance. And avoidance can be redirected if you stay calm and stay in the conversation. Second, your only goal in the room is to leave with one concrete thing. Not a feeling, a date you can follow up on, a number, or a clear, here is exactly what would make this a yes. Third, what you say in the next 10 seconds decides everything. The silence most people offer after a deflection is the exact moment the script wins. Because here's the part that matters. When your manager says, "The budget is tight right now," there is a specific sentence that turns that fog into a date on the calendar. When they say, "Let's revisit in 6 months," there is an exact phrase that attaches a real commitment to that timeline, so you don't walk into the same trap twice. When they say, "We value you here," there is a calm, direct line that converts that warmth into a concrete conversation about what that value is actually worth. These aren't tricks. They aren't aggressive. They're the difference between the person who leaves with a feeling and the person who leaves with a commitment. The words exist. Most people simply never learn them. If you've ever walked out of one of these conversations feeling good and gotten nothing, that was not your fault. You were responding to a script you couldn't see. Now you can see it. The next time you hear one of these lines, you'll know exactly what it's doing. The only question left is whether you'll have the words ready to answer it. I've put the exact responses to all 4 of these deflections, word for word, the calm lines that turn a non-answer into a real commitment, into a free guide linked below. Start there before your next review or raise conversation. Because the person who walks in with the words is the person who walks out with the answer. And if this made you see your last conversation differently, leave a comment with the line you've heard the most. "Budget's tight," "Let's revisit," or "We value you." I read them. If it helped, subscribe. There's a whole world of these unspoken scripts running in every office. And once you learn to hear them, you stop being the one they work on.